Hey, you guys. How old school is it? But there's a candle burning in my background right now. It's just nothing going on back there. I wanted to put like some trees, something. Haven't gotten around to it. So, behold, my little candle. Anyway, you guys, today's video is going to be another installment of 5 things you have enough of, and this is the holiday edition cuz fa la 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 ka ching, at least from the company's perspective. So I'm going to quickly explain what's going on here and why. I had an idea today that I was going to sit down and create a series of videos to go up almost every day this week surrounding all of the sales that are coming in the general kind of hyper consumerism situation we tend to find ourselves in during the holidays. And I figured this would be a good place to start because I've done several videos like this year, several videos like this year. And because so many holiday sets come out and tons of them seem like such incredible deals that we cannot pass up, and then there's that sense of urgency that surrounds them because it's only going to be here for the holidays, I thought I would talk about the different types that we tend to see. But I will also be doing a video where I'm going to react to very specific launches in particular that will probably go up next. So this one is just broad strokes purposes to take this information out into the world and apply it to all of these holiday kits that you're seeing right now. Couple of disclaimers. Number one, I am here to help you if you need help. If you are happy with your makeup consumption, if you don't have any issues with the amount of makeup that you buy, have no anxiety or stress around this subject, then take what I say. Actually, always take everything that I say with a grain of salt because I'm not in charge here, but that's not who I'm making this content for, because I do understand that there's tons of people out there who feel like buying makeup and applying makeup is an incredibly meditative process. It's an act of self-care and self-love, and I'm not here to shame anyone or take that away from you, but I do think regardless of what your intentions and motivations are, it never hurts. I say this all the time. It never hurts to take a step back and look at what you're doing, the reasons that you're doing them, and making sure that it's all completely in service of you, that nobody else is like pulling the strings. Know what I'm saying? It's always a good idea to take inventory of what we are doing. And I get it, man. The holidays are a great time. In fact, almost every single year without fail, come January 1st, January 2nd, I kind of go into like a little bit of a sad mode because I'm like, well, what are we gonna do now? Like, all the fun stuff just happened and it's just cold and dark outside all the time. I kind of hate January and February for that reason. But here's the thing. We can get caught up in the whirlwind of Christmas lights and candy canes and all that good stuff, but it doesn't matter because every single extra plate you grab when you're at your granny's house and every cent of credit card debt that you rack up during the holidays is going to catch up on you, and no amount of YOLO, it's Christmas, is going to absolve you of the responsibility that you will inevitably have to face your decision. So that's what this video series is here for. Take what you need, leave what you don't, and let's get started. So the first type of holiday set to keep an eye out for would be a mishmash set. These are usually sets that are comprised of a lot of different types of things. Sephora does this more than anyone that I know of personally. They have them all throughout the year. They'll have ones from skincare. They'll have some for Sephora favorites where it's just kind of a little bit of this and a little bit of that. Brands will do it too, where they'll create kind of like a favorites or their top sellers of different bits and items from their line. So the first thing that I pay attention to with any gift set, that's true for this set and any other set we talk about in this video, is the way that they try to lure you in with that whole, it's $150 value, but you're only paying $40 for it. I don't know where that number comes from. I've never seen that number broken down in a way that makes any sense, because essentially a lot of holiday gift sets, this point will come up several times throughout this video, you're kind of buying makeup samples is really what you're getting here. So I don't know how they can put a dollar value on a makeup sample and then tell you that this is a great deal because you could be paying $200 and you're actually paying $35. Do you know what I'm saying? So be aware of that. Don't get sucked in to that number that means nothing to literally anyone except the company who got to put it on there. The samples all tend to be a little bit inconsistent in their amount of product in there. So let's say you're eyeing a set by Drunk Elephant, okay? And we'll say for the sake of argument, there's 5 items in that set, and the real thing that's got you picking that set up is the baby facial. And the baby facial might have considerably less product in it than the other items in that collection, and that's not necessarily a bad thing because you still have other things to try and test out. But if you bought that for the baby facial and it has the least amount of items in there, you just paid for a small amount of a product that you want to try, And you also paid for a lot of stuff that you're not really interested in, which brings me to my next point. I feel like all of these sets, and once again, another point that's going to come up consistently, because if I got to beat a point home, I'm going to, you're kind of buying stuff that you don't want. So essentially with these type of sets, you end up with a variety of products, some of which you want, some of which you don't, or some of which you might not even like or might not have any use for. And I'm just personally not a fan of that kind of shopping strategy. It's the same reason I don't recommend or talk about subscription boxes, which I have been asked about many times, and I'll answer now. Not a fan of it. Don't think I would ever do it. I think these are good gift ideas for other people. But in terms of someone who is actually an avid collector and user and owner of a huge quantity of makeup, I just think you're creating a situation where you're bringing more stuff into your life that you're not going to get a whole lot of use out of. And just because there's like this disproportionate amount of product compared to price tag doesn't mean it's a good deal or even worth the dollar. I don't care how cheap it is. If you haven't been eyeing at least half of the products in these types of gift sets, let it go. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is just another type of shopping enabling. Give them a little taste, they'll be back for more. Drug dealers do the same thing. Number 2, the Too Good to Be True set. I feel like Tarte and Too Faced, particularly Too Faced, do this every year. It's heavily reliant on, particularly with Too Faced, it's usually very reliant on some sort of ostentatious, cumbersome packaging. Last year, I did a video reviewing 2 cheek palettes that were holiday editions, and I did one about Tarte, and it came in the ugliest packaging I've ever seen in my life, and the box that the product actually came in itself was like this thick. It was ridiculous. The packaging is hideous. I know that's not always a reason to buy product, but I do think it's important to pay attention to companies that tend to use their packaging, especially during the holidays, as the main driving force for sales, because it looks really cool on the display when it's all like laid out and big and massive, but much like the title of this particular point, it's probably too good to be true, right? Like, you're not getting this huge, massive makeup set from a brand like Too Faced who has really high price points for $40 and gonna walk away with, you know, extremely high quality products that you're gonna use all the time. I've never used a holiday makeup set that I've gotten from any company ever, for longer than maybe the month in which I bought it. I mean, pay attention to favorites videos that come out around this time. You don't see people on January 13th doing their January favorites being like, the Tarte holiday collection is still going strong, I'm still using it. People aren't referring back to holiday collections of yore in much the same way. Like, we get them for a little bit and then we're over them pretty quick. And it's usually, which brings me to my next point, because a lot of the products that come out during the holidays, and this isn't true for every single brand, but many brands are not using the same labs or the same manufacturing processes during the holidays. These are cash grabs. So be very discerning about these Too Good to Be True sets that you might see pop up all over the damn place. I know I've seen tons of them. Too Faced, for example, will throw some minis of their, like, you know, top selling, most loved products. There's usually a Better Than Sex mascara in there, maybe a hangover primer. But outside of the minis, which once again are essentially makeup samples, you're paying for an elaborate, very tacky packaging. Like, I'm just saying, I've never seen, like, go watch some makeup collection videos. You're not seeing people pull out their eyeshadow palettes with their big, you know, Too Faced 12 Days of Christmas, winter in New York palettes from 3 years ago. Nobody holds on to this stuff. Sephora does this every year too. They make these big, fugly, like, I don't even know. These types of palettes always remind me of, like, when I was a little kid, my mom used to get these catalogs from, like, Finger Hut. You know what that is? And they'd have makeup sets in it. That's what this looks like to me. They're cheap quality. I bought one for my daughter last year. Like, it's kids makeup. They look great because on its surface, you have like 20 eyeshadows and 20 lipsticks and 5 blushes and 2 bronzers and eyeliners. And that will blind us sometimes to, is this worth the dollar I'm paying? Even if it isn't a lot, you know? A lot of companies get you coming and going during the holidays by lowering prices and quality with it. So you got to be aware of that. So I'm just going to say it. For me, the ideal gift set in general is one that has one full-size item that you already want to buy, and then maybe a couple of smaller samples of other things from the line, especially if the price point doesn't deviate much. Like I think Laneige is doing one right now where you get a full size of the original formula lip sleeping mask, and then you get 2 little ones with it too. I think that's a good deal. That's a good gift set where you're going to spend the amount of money, get the full size, but a little something extra. Don't give me a bunch of little stuff. Like, I'll come back to that in a minute, but I am not a fan of that. Also, before you buy any any gift sets, make sure you check the reviews. YSL has a lipstick vault kind of thing out right now, and all the reviews are pretty bad. I sat down and actually compared the ingredients that YSL has listed for this lipstick vault situation and their original formula. And unless I miss something, it looks like the ingredients are exactly the same. So I don't know if it's a matter of like the quantity that has to go into it to make such a small lipstick. People are saying that the gift set version of this is on some bullshit. So read reviews before you invest in any of these gift sets. So once again, don't get blinded by the little price tag, many things trap. Number 3, advent calendars. Okay. These things seem cool. They actually do not seem cool to me. I'll tell you why, because it's a big part of why I'm not a fan of many of holiday sets that come out. And it's twofold. One, useless packaging. Like, I keep thinking, in 2019 and at this point, we're getting a little better about paying attention to the carbon footprint that we're leaving with all this fast makeup. We used to have fast fashion. Now we have fast beauty. And all this extra packaging has got to stop. And these advent calendars are really contributing to a lot of unnecessary waste because essentially it's just cardboard holding more makeup samples. And I don't think anyone's buying advent calendars for gifts for other people. I feel like they're gifts for your damn self, which is cool. Treat yourself. That's cool. You're still, once again, buying stuff that you're not selecting. My daughter, a couple years ago, was really into these things called LOL surprise dolls. Y'all know what these are? They were literally like little balls, little plastic balls, and you bought them. I think they were like $6, $7 a pop. You opened them, and there'd be anything, hence the LOL surprise, like different types of dolls with different types of clothes. So it was like, even though she went to the store and paid money and picked this out, it still had that same type of rush, I guess, for the lack of a better word, that you get from getting a present. Do you know what I'm saying? Where you're like, what is it? What's inside? You don't know. And I guess for kids, I understand why that might be kind of cool, but I'm grown and I don't want to give anybody money for something I didn't expressly pick out. That's just my opinion. Tons of people are doing advent calendars now. Not a fan, like I said, because of the packaging. Not a fan, like I said, because of the mystery element. But if you are into it, once again, can't stress enough, check the reviews and make sure that if you're buying an advent calendar, that the amount of product that you're getting from the samples, essentially, that you're buying, makes some kind of sense with the amount of money you're spending on it, because no aspect of that advent calendar was free to produce. Make sure you're not just paying for packaging, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Number 4 is devices. This is actually going to be the segment of the video where I tell you this is like a good investment. For as much as beauty can never be a good investment, I think that if you're going to buy any type of holiday set during the holidays, you go with a device, because they tend to come out with either better deals or they tend to throw some of the accessories with any given device in there that you might be eyeing. A good example of this is the Glow Pro. I was eyeing this earlier this year, I believe. And the version that I saw at the time, this could have changed in the months since then because I don't spend a lot of time looking at beauty or Sephora or anything like that. The version of this that I saw only came with one rolly beauty car, I don't know what you call it, the roller part of the microneedler. There's only one that came with it, and maybe like some skincare products that I wasn't even interested in. But right now, Glow Pro has the standard dermal roller along with several other heads, which that's a pretty good deal if you ask me. Dyson is actually doing something kind of similar right now. You can buy the hair dryer. You're going to pay full price for it, but they're throwing in some free attachments that otherwise you would not be able to have access to unless you paid for them separately. So once again, this goes back to what I said about what the ideal gift set is the full version of something and then a few other extras that you're not paying extra for. There's tons of devices out there that I'm eyeing right now. T3 has a curling wand on sale. I don't know if it's on sale for the holidays or if it's just on sale, but I've had the same curling wand for 6 years. Looking to upgrade, and they have it on sale right now. This would be an ideal purchase for me, for myself, or the treat yourself portion of the holiday season. But like I said, get out there, look at the reviews, and see if you can find some devices that are throwing in a little fun freebie. You guys know in the past on my channel, if I talk about sales and I recommend anything to pick up, it's always devices because they don't expire and you will ostensibly use them forever. So that's like a gift that keeps on giving, if you know what I'm saying. Number 5 is Too Many Minis. And this is kind of a amalgamation of several things. It just depends on where you find them. But Sephora, which is where I tend to get all this information from. I don't know why I don't check anywhere else, but I just don't. Sephora actually always has a section on their app or their website that has minis. And as a whole, I've talked to you guys before about how minis are kind of a scam because sometimes you end up paying per ounce or per gram more for that product than you would actually pay for the full size. But during the holidays, they amp up that mini crazy stuff, and there's tons and tons of mini sets out there right now. This is always going to come back to one of my main points, which is check the reviews before you buy any of this stuff, because I saw a few examples, which I'll get more into when I do my reacting to holiday releases videos. But I saw several examples, particularly when it came to lip products like lipsticks, lip liner, and lip glosses, where people were receiving their gift sets and they were almost shocked and like insulted by how tiny the products were when they actually came. They said it was like Barbie lipstick. So once again, don't get sucked into that little price tag, many things pricing model that companies use for gift sets, because if you're going to spend $35 on a gift set of like 3 tiny lipsticks and they're this friggin' big, you might as well just buy a full size, you know what I mean? Like, you're probably going to get more use out of that. Perfume samplers come out like this a lot, and I don't know, man. I have to say, as someone who is currently trying to find a new signature fragrance, that might be something I'd be interested in. But even still, you are always going to run into a situation with gift sets, particularly mini sets with lots of little things in it, where you are going to use a lot less of that than you think you are. And I think that's a big part of what we get sucked into around the holidays as a whole. It's just this more attitude, and more is not always better. This brings me to my next point about this type of gift set, where you're going to end up with a lot of stuff in these mini kits that I'd be shocked if you used past December, past the first few initial days or weeks of you owning it. I used to buy stuff like this all the time when I first was getting into high-end makeup because I just couldn't afford full sizes of anything. And even though I couldn't afford the full sizes, and even though these little tiny minis were the only chance I had to test out and play with like higher end, more expensive makeup, I still never used them because they're just, in some cases, extremely unideal. Like particularly with cheek products, like NARS almost every year comes out with like a mini blush bronzer duo situation, and for my bronzer brush, which is this big, like I couldn't even imagine trying to get my brush evenly like distributed along the mini NARS bronzer without getting blood. Like, it's not conducive for me for the way that I kind of need my makeup in order for me to use it to the best of its ability. But that's always going to come down to personal preference. Once again, I feel like these are gateway products. It's just a way to enable more makeup shopping. It's what I feel like most of the holiday releases are. And depending on where you are in your makeup buying journey, as I said at the top of the video, if you're completely happy with the way things are, you don't feel like your space is being taken over, if you're using up the products that you own to a healthy degree, like, then go for it, I guess. Who am I to stop you? But if you're trying to get a better handle of your makeup and enjoy it more, adding more stuff into your life is not the way to go. Personally, I don't see any benefit to these little mini sets, with the exception of, there's only one exception. If you have seriously been debating trying a product for a really long time, and the idea of purchasing a full size and then returning it on the chance that you do not enjoy it doesn't appeal to you, then this would be the way to go. I recently found out that Sephora is starting to crack down on their return policy, which was surprising to me, mostly because I never return anything. I can't tell you how many times in videos people like yell at me, basically being like, well, if you don't like it, you can return it. I just don't return stuff. I mean, I will now. At this point in my journey, like if I buy something I don't want, I will return it. if you're going to buy this little mini set to test it out, just so you don't have to go through that process, and you're willing to risk the fact that you might waste money on it, I guess go for it. I feel like I felt about the very first point I made in this video, that this is a gateway. This is gateway makeup. You know what I'm saying? I just picture brands being like, hey baby, hey baby, hey baby, I know you can afford the Big Daddy, but I got a little something for you. Like, it's just trying to reel you in. And I just think you're better off investing money in things you really love and getting sizes and versions of that product that you can use and that will really go the distance. Because even if you pay $35 for a sample of something, you're gonna run out of it. Then you'll be right back in there, either buying another $35 sample or the $75 full size. Now you have spent like what, $110, $150 when you could have just spent $75. Do you know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? But also, I would say be very careful with skincare sets that are coming out right now, like the minis, because with skincare in particular, and not that I have a whole lot of faith in Sephora skincare, I've said it a million times. Even if I was a big fan of skincare from Sephora, I would say as a general rule of thumb, you can't judge the efficacy of a product off of a small time frame. For example, if you buy a Drunk Elephant skincare set that has minis that will only last you a couple of weeks or so, there's no real way for you to know how your skin reacts to it and how it's going to change, because your cell turnover, I think, is every 60 or 90 days. I could be 100% wrong about that. I'll annotate the correct information somewhere on here if I am. But let me give you a good example. A few years ago, actually this was a long time ago, don't let me lie, I bought a gift set from Peter Thomas Roth. They used to have a line called Dragon's Blood or something like that. I don't know if they still carry it, but it was basically a skin smoothing line, and I loved it because it worked bangers, man. My skin was like so poreless and smooth. But once I ran out of the product, those effects immediately ceased to exist. And upon further inspection, it was because the skincare itself was loaded with silicone. So it was applying a superficial effect to my skin that was only going to remain for as long as I used the product. Once again, it's a big reason I'm not a fan of Sephora skincare. But definitely with skincare minis and skincare gift sets, just be aware that whatever you're getting and whatever quantities you're getting it in, be aware that you're really not going to get the full effect or benefit of it if it can't last you at least a month, but hopefully longer in a perfect world. All right, guys, so those are the main types of gift sets that I see come out every year, not just this year, not just this year. As always, take everything I say with a grain of salt. I am not in charge around here. You do what you want. But I just thought it'd be cool to break down these basic formulas that we see going on through many different brands and through many different retailers. And like I said, in the next video, I'm going to go item by item, good, bad, and ugly style, and tell you exactly what I think about some of the ridiculousness that came out this year. Buckle up. I'm finna be sassy. But you guys love when I'm sassy. I think that's like very endearing that you guys can tolerate that side of my personality so well. As always, thank you to the patrons. It is a Sunday afternoon when I'm filming this, and I literally am turning the camera off and doing a live stream with you guys. I cannot wait. In fact, everybody say hello to the patrons. This is my vlogging camera, and I'm actually doing my first and so far only vlog of my life on Patreon this month. I'm not going to overhype this shit at all. It's probably the most boring thing in the world because all I do is work, but hello, nonetheless. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and like I said in the beginning, this is a part of a series that should be going on for the entire week. I don't have a name for it yet, but if I come up with one, I will let you guys know. So if you're not subscribed, now might be a good time to join so you don't miss the uploads that are coming. It's going to be all around Black Friday, Cyber Monday, good purchases out there, how to deal with treat yourself feelings that come along with the holidays. Like, we're going to get through this time of year and we're going to leave it with more money in our bank accounts than we have ever left the holiday season with. You bet your bottom dollar. Which you won't have a bottom dollar because we're not going to spend them all at Sephora. Anyway, I hope you guys are having an amazing day. Check the down bar for links to all my social media platforms, and I will catch you in the next one.